Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Shelby-Lane, MD.
Well, it was 1979, and I had just finished my residency training in Houston, Texas. I had moved back to Detroit to start practicing my career as a physician in emergency medicine at Detroit Receiving Hospital and Hutzel Hospital. So I was so excited about my new job, it took me several months before I decided to unpack. And as I was unpacking, I ran across a job application that I had picked up while I was in Houston. And I stood there and I was just thinking, why did I even pick up this job application? I really don't like Houston that much. It's too hot and humid. And there was no chance on earth that I was even qualified for this job. So I kind of looked at the application and looked at the deadline. Well, the deadline was about 2 weeks away. I had plenty of time. So then I put the application to the side. A week passed. I looked at the application again. And then all of a sudden, it's like New Year's Eve. I looked at the application. It was on the kitchen table. And the application started staring at me, staring right back at me. So I picked it up and I said, oh my God, today is the deadline. It is due December 31st at midnight, New Year's Eve. I said, oh my God, it's now or never. I really don't have the confidence. I don't think I can do this. You know, it's about 8 o'clock. Let me just handwrite it out, because back in the day, we didn't really have computers like that. So I started writing out. I said about 2 hours. I looked up, and as I'm almost finished with finishing the handwritten application, I see that it's 11:30. I literally have less than half an hour to get to the post office to get this postmarked. Well, it's snowy, and I'm a bad driver even on a good day. So I got in my car, and I rushed to downtown Detroit to the post office on 4th Street, and they stayed open late at that time. So when I got there, I walked into the post office in a hurry, and there was a line of people. I'm like, oh my God. I said, please, can you let me get to the front of the line? I have a deadline. Well, they said, yeah, right. Well, we have deadline issues too. So I stood there frantically, my heart was pounding, and then by the time I got to the postal clerk, it was close to midnight. I looked at her and I said, is there any way that you can make sure that this is postmarked before midnight? She looked at me and I looked at her, and she stamped it, 11:59, December 31st. I said, wow, I just made it. And so then I walked back outside in the cold, and I got in my car and I sat there. Now I'm all hot and sweaty, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, what have I done? I just put an application in the mail for the United States Space Program to be a United States astronaut. Oh my God, what was I thinking? The people with the right stuff are white men. They're jet pilots. I don't know. I don't think I can do this. I just sat there and I'm thinking, oh my God, what will I do? I said, oh my God, the application was bad enough. There's no way, there's no chance that they're even gonna call me. So I went back to my job as an emergency doctor, seeing patients and saving lives. And then I started wondering, weeks are going by, did they even get my application? So I'm thinking to myself, maybe they didn't. Oh, there's no chance. And then all of a sudden, my staff comes, and I'm looking at the phone. I'm on pins and needles, because back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. And so the phone's ringing, it's ringing up the hook. And then one day, my staff says, well, Dr. Lane, the phone's for you. And I thought it was just another doctor calling about their patient. And I picked up the phone, and I said, hello? And they said, hello. Dr. Lane, this is NASA. I'm saying, yes. They said, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm fine. They said, well, we'd just like to let you know that you've been selected to be a candidate for a mission specialist astronaut candidate. We would like to fly you to Houston, and we would like to interview for 1 week. It's a 1-week interview. And they said, did you hear me? I said, yes. They said, well, are you interested? I said, yes. I said, well, we'd like to say congratulations and good luck. We'll send you the information. I hung up the phone, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I just started this new job. I can't get out of this job. There's no way. I have to work that week. So I waited 2 hours. I got on the phone. I called my boss and I said, hello, Dr. Chrome. I really don't want to ask you this. I said, it's really okay, but NASA just called and NASA wants me to come down and they want me to be an astronaut. I said, it's really okay. I really don't need to go. If it's okay for you, I don't need to go. He said, shut up, wake up, you're going. We can handle this. I said, okay. All right, fast forward. It's now March and I land at Houston Intercontinental Airport. I drive to Johnson Space Center, and I rented a car and drive to Johnson Space Center. I check into the government-issued housing, which is at Johnson Space Center. And I'm ready to stay there to prepare myself for this week-long interview. I have no idea what to expect. So it was as soon as I walk into the room, there's like a letter on the bed, I think bed or table, and it said, dear applicant, you're invited to a reception debriefing tonight, Sunday night. And so it starts at 7 p.m. So I got myself together and I drove over to this other building at NASA, and I walked in and there were the astronauts. Oh my God, I was just impressed. There was John Young and Buzz Aldrin from Apollo 12 or 14. And then I'm looking around because I know there were black astronauts. I didn't see them immediately, so I was looking for Fred Gregory, and I'm looking for Charlie Bolden, and I'm just looking around, and I'm like the only black female there. And so then there's also 20 other people. Well, who were they? Well, they were my camaraderies, they were going to be my competition. Was really competition versus them and me versus me. So after the party mingling went on, that's when they gave us our homework. I said, we have homework? They says, yes. You're going to write out an essay, why I want to be an astronaut. And it's due in the morning, so go back and get a good night's sleep. I'm like, get a good night's sleep? I can't sleep right. I have a 5th grade report that's due in the morning. I'm writing furiously, still no computer. I'm just writing away. I stay up all night. So then the next morning arrives. I had no sleep. I arrived right on time. The heat is on. I'm sleepy and groggy, but I turned in that 5th grade report. And in turn, they gave me an orange jug, which is for a 24-hour urine. Just checking for drugs, hormones, anything you might have in your system. And they also gave me an itinerary. And it went sort of like this. There's a mental health evaluation. 6 to 8 hour grilling. The questions start flying. Are you a team player? Yes, I am. Would you like to work in an environment that's more serious or more humorous? Serious. And what do you think your chances are of becoming an astronaut, doctor? 99%, 100%. I don't really know. I just answered the way I thought I should answer. And so after that psychiatric evaluation, I thought I was crazy. I know that they don't want to pick up any crazies coming into NASA. And I also know that, it's just a matter of time before somebody says, I just want to go to Mars and see a Martian. So... and it could happen. So then the next thing was a physical exam, not your usual physical exam. They shoved a light up your rectum and doing a colonoscopy. I'm like, what are you looking for up there? And then the next thing, dilate your pupils, looking for cataracts, glaucoma, or do you have 20/20 vision? I don't know. And so you're blinded the whole day while you're roaming around NASA with this orange bucket. Next, they want to see if you have real endurance. Do you have the right stuff? So they put you in this little ball. It's a ball that's called a rescue ball. And you get in, you're curled up in a fetal position. You zip yourself up on the inside. They zip you on the outside. You're stuck in there in the dark, in the burning dark. And so when I got out, I said, well, what was that all about? They said, well, we just want to test to see if, in fact, there was a problem on the space shuttle and you got ejected into the Indian Ocean, could you survive? You mean, could I survive with sharks and other sea creatures? Like, all I wanted to know was, when are you coming back to get me, NASA? And then the real test was the treadmill test. You know, the right stuff. You really do it. And I was so glad that I had just started jogging 2 months prior to this whole interview process, even though I didn't think I would make it. So you get there to this room, and they hook you up to monitors and screens, and you have oxygen in your mouth, and you have this treadmill ready to go. There's about 15 people in the room, and you're ready. You're ready to go. And they're going to tell you one thing. When you think you can't make it any longer, put your thumb up. You'll have 60 seconds. No problem. So they turn that treadmill thing on, and it's going flat, then it's going higher, then it's going faster, then it's going faster, then it's going higher, then it's going faster. I mean, I'm like 15 minutes into this thing. I'm like looking at my blood pressure over here. It's 210 over 150. Over here, my heart rate is 180, and I'm sweating bullets. And so that's when I said, oh my God, I forgot, in my mind, I forgot to put the thumbs up. And so then I put the thumbs up, and this, there's no way I can make another 60 seconds. There's no way. And then all of a sudden, they slowly let it down, and then 6 men come over, and my legs are like spaghetti noodles, and they drag me off that. I said, just get me out of these clothes. So the next aspect of this was, remember that there was that paper that was due? Well, you go to a board meeting with about 12 or 15 people, all the heads of NASA, the brains, the genius, and they read out loud your 5th grade paper. I'm like, oh my God, they're reading my paper to everybody. And so it was fine. It was what I really believed in. They gave me an applause, and I thought that was nice. But then in the that same day, I also went to go to the Space Shuttle simulator, and for what reason or other, it's hot in Houston, the electricity was out, my hair was in a ponytail, Walter Cronkite's there, CBS News, I'm on the news, and my father says, I saw you on the news, what was wrong with your hair? I'm like, really, Dad? Really, my hair? All right, and so then finally, that's when we all 20 of us get back together, and everybody at NASA, and that's when we meet the head of NASA. And at that point, you're told the lowdown, how you were going to find out if you made it. There's some winners and some losers, but everybody would not make the cut. And so I looked at this man, I said, well, how would I know his voice? Because he was the one that was going to call you. If you didn't make it, the other people would call you. And I looked at him, I tried to memorize his voice, and I don't know if I did a good job, but at any rate, it was over with. We hugged, we said goodbye, we went back home. So I got back home, and I'm like, whoa. Here I am, seeing patients, saving lives, and wondering, do I have the right stuff? Did I really make it? Is it that bad? Did I do okay? But then the FBI and the CIA showed up. And they're in the neighborhood doing a criminal investigation on me. My neighbors thought I killed somebody, who knows? So, sitting on pins and needles, watching the phone, listening to it ring off the hook at work every day, and then one day it came, a call, and my staff said, Dr. Lane, NASA's on the line. And I said, okay, and I picked up the phone and I said, hello? They said, hello, Dr. Lane? I said, yes. And that's when I started thinking, is this the head of NASA? Do I know his voice? Is that who it is? He said, hello, Dr. Lane, are you there? I said, yes, I'm here. He said, well, Dr. Lane, we'd like to let you know. We'd like to let you know that you didn't make it. I'm like, I didn't make it. I said, but why? Is it because I said 99% instead of 100? Is it because you should be more humorous than serious? Or, I mean, why? Just please tell me why. He says, we can't tell you. I said, but please, you don't understand. I just need to know. Just please tell me, please. He says, okay, I'll tell you this. You have headaches. I'm like, headaches? Yeah, he said, you put on the application you have migraine headaches. I said, but no, you don't understand. You don't understand. I was in medical school in neurology class, that I was having headaches. They sort of fit my description, so I just said I had headaches, but I've never seen a neurologist. I've never seen anybody, never. He says, okay, just calm down. He said, I tell you what, why don't you just try to see a doctor and get that off your record? I don't have a record. I made it up. He says, but if you ever do get to see a doctor, then maybe you can reapply. I said, I can reapply? He says, yes, you may be able to reapply. I said, okay. I got off the phone and I burst into tears. I burst into tears. I busted myself. I had self-doubt and self-diagnosis, and I made this stuff up, and I busted myself, and I was so miserable. But then I thought about it again. I said, I can just be a doctor, but maybe I can reapply. So I found 3 neurologists, and one of them said I didn't have headaches. And really, they did. And so then I was able to reapply, and I kept reapplying. I reapplied for the next 10 years. I reapplied after Challenger. I went out and became a pilot. I fly Cessna planes, and I kept jogging around the neighborhood. I am an astronaut. But then after about 10 years, I said, if I ever really want to see the stars, I probably have to go through Hollywood. So I just let it go. But then 25 years of practicing corporate medicine, I just kind of got a little fed up with it, and I decided to go back and do a fellowship in anti-aging and functional medicine and alternative care. And as a result of that, I found out that just being a doctor allows me into a space and a new job opportunity. As a matter of fact, I am able to do more on Earth than I could have done in space. I am now a marijuana doctor. And as a marijuana doctor, I can heal people naturally as opposed to with properly prescribed medications, as we call it. But you might call it Mary J, you might call it weed, you might call it pot, you might call it cannabis. But the truth is the CIA and the FBI are still around. And I hope I don't get busted for trying to heal children with seizures and autism by using THCA and CBD. I hope I don't get busted for taking care of elderly patients who don't smoke, but they might want to use an edible. And I hope I don't get busted for taking care of cancer patients because they have nausea and they may need Rick Simpson oil. And I hope I don't get busted for trying to help the vets from Afghanistan and Iraq with post-traumatic stress disorder, with anxiety and with insomnia, when they may use something like OG or Purple Alien or Kush or Headmaster, which are all strains of marijuana or cannabis. So my prescription is cannabis is part of the answer, and legalization needs to be here. And as far as NASA goes, Charles Bolden, he's now the head of NASA, black astronaut. I met Mae Jemison, the first black female astronaut, in 1985. She flew in 1992. In January of 2017, they're coming out with a new movie, Black Women Behind the Launch of the Launch. And ever since I applied in 1979, there have only been 5 black female astronauts and a total of 16 black astronauts. So I'd like to tell you this. All of us, every single one of us, was willing and courageous enough to sit on 750,000 pounds of TNT and blast ourselves into outer space, just wondering what we could do for mankind. Thank you.
Cynthia Shelby-Lane, MD.